Let's take a look at the circle of fifths. It could also be referred to as the cycle of fifths and fourths. So when we look at the wheel, when we spin towards the right clockwise, we start at C and then we move to G. So the distance from C to G is a fifth. So we've got C, D, E, F, and G is the 5. So when we count those intervals, we count the note that we're starting on as 1, and we count up until we get to the interval that we want to end with. And in this case, it's the 5, so it's a C to a G. So when we look at that, we want to place a bar chord on the guitar neck, and we want to look at what movement is that creating. So when we look at the guitar neck, we could start that C chord as an A shape and strum it. When we move to the 5 chord, the G, we move straight down in the 3rd fret area, and we can play an E-shaped bar chord. Then we've got a C to a G. C, G. The next step in the circle of fifths is G, and then when we count up a fifth, it's a D. And look, they go right in order: C, G, D, A, E. So what we would do is we would look at the movement that that one creates. So we're already on a G chord there as an E shape, so we could strum it. Now we have to move to play a D chord, and that movement is up to the 5th fret as a root note, playing an A shape. So we've got this zigzaggy kind of pattern. If we just follow the cycle of fifths, we've got C to G, G to D, D to A to E, E to B, B to F sharp. And we can walk through the whole cycle of fifths with that kind of movement. Now, if we start at C and we move counterclockwise, we get the movement of a C to an F. So we've got C, D, E, F is the 4. That has a kind of movement. And watch this. We strum the C, and then we move to the F. That's the exact opposite. It's a mirror image of what we were doing when we were moving in fifths. Then once we hit the F, going to a 4, F, G, A, B flat. Now we've got a mirror image movement. That F chord, to move to the B flat chord, it's right above it in fret area 1. Now if we're going to do this exercise down the cycle of fourths, we're not going to get very far before we have to move up the neck again, B flat to its 4, E flat, and so on. So we can do this exercise getting the idea of how these chords move in cycles of fifths and fourths on the guitar neck. And that's more of a playing kind of thing. I also want you to memorize the fifths and the fourths. We talked about in rock guitar level 1, memorizing 1s and 6s and the fact that those are relative, major and minor. And we want to use those as signposts to be able to navigate the keys. Now we're digging in much deeper into keys. Rather than an introduction to just a few keys, you're going to get the list of all 15 major keys. So we want to start to explore them kind of one at a time. Maybe spend a month in each key. Spend a month in C, then spend a month in G, then spend a month in D. And get familiar and comfortable doing your chord scales up and down those keys, so that you feel good about where those note names are on the neck and how to navigate them in the context of a chord progression. Another exercise that you could do is just root note movement. So instead of playing the whole chord from C to G, you just play the root note. And you're going to find that when you move up in the octave, the movement is very much, it's the same. But one thing that will do for you is help you to be able to memorize your notes in the graph of the fretboard so that in that matrix you can find your way and know exactly what note you're playing. This information is going to come in very handy as you begin to write and play more and more music in the context of chord progressions and single note lines. So take a look at the cycle of fifths. Try and learn to enjoy looking at where those notes are and the movement that gets created just doing the exercise, the cycle of fifths and the cycle of fourths.